It ain't easy being a man these days. Hard to even say for sure what a man is. A provider, a lover, maybe even a hero. One thing's for sure. A journey towards being whatever a real man should be doesn't need to be done alone. The Gentlementor are here to help you navigate that, so you never have to go alone.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Gentlementors. My name is Mark, and I'm here with my really good friend, Dr. Doug, and also the infamous Zach is joining us tonight. We're so happy that he is.
I'm not an actual doctor. I only play one in the bedroom.
Well, then I
don't want anybody coming on this podcast and saying they think they got medical advice or something like that. You're not getting any of that here.
Put all the disclaimers.
Why not? Why not? We don't need disclaimers. You can give all the medical advice you want. Okay. People are going to YouTube and TikTok for their medical advice. Why not go to someone who actually cares?
Let me write you a prescription for some of this.
Anyhow, hey, we're so glad that you joined us tonight. And this is, or today, it's tonight we're recording, but you're probably up early listening to this because you want to make some changes in your life. And we're really glad that you are. And we're here for you. So, yeah, so we're just going to chit chat a little bit. Find us on all of the social media places, YouTube, BitChute, Instagram, not Facebook, TikTok. You can find a little bit of us on TikTok and yeah, and connect with us. We'd love to hear from you. We want to continue this conversation with you. We just don't want to be a bunch of talking heads. We want to hear from you as well. So with that,
Facebook.
Read the mail, Doug. What mail do we have?
What's in the mailbag today?
Yeah. What's in the mailbag today? Just kidding. We don't have any mail. So
okay.
I think there was a bill. There was a thing from some people.
Of course.
I got one right here too. So, all right. So I'm glad you guys are here because I wanted to, Doug and I have talked a lot about one specific thing. And so I thought maybe we could kind of elaborate on this just a little bit more. And we talked about reinventing ourselves a little bit, but I thought let's dedicate a whole episode to that, the whole thing that you were talking about, Doug, one time, reinventing yourselves, changing yourselves, giving yourself refreshing your identity. Do the whole self-etch-a-sketch thing.
Renovation. We could be the chip.
Shake it up and start over.
We're the Chip and Joanna of self-renovation.
Ooh.
Little fixer-upper.
We want to shiplap your soul.
I'm for it. Let's do
T-shirt. T-shirt.
T-shirt.
Shiplap your soul.
Copy that. Copyright that. So nobody.
That's right.
Gets in on that. So I thought of a few things. I was reading through because now that I've got my bookshelves up,
and they are lovely,
just gorgeous.
Thank you.
Straight and strong.
Right.
So now that I've got these bookshelves up, I found some of my journals, and I was going through some of this stuff from several years ago. Which, by the way, nice. I set a goal back in 2017, and I put 3 things on this goal to happen, or 3 things on this list to happen by 2023.
And those 3 things were.
I can't wait.
6 years ago. They were, are you ready? Start a podcast.
Done.
Start a business.
Done.
Get a master's degree.
Ooh.
No. Hey,
2 out of 3 is not bad.
3 is not bad.
Can I just say, I got one.
Yes.
I would gladly exchange it for the money back.
Part
I
of
will
that,
turn that. You show me the machine with the slot where that diploma will fit. I'll put it right back in.
Part of that, Doug, I attribute to your wisdom from that. Is why I did not actively pursue that with a whole lot of
there you go.
Well, I'm glad I saved
passion or whatever. So you did. I consider it. Remember what I said when I said last week? Wisdom is a combination of truth and fear.
Just let that simmer.
Yeah. So truth on Doug's
I need something
part.
to wash that down.
I've got. All right. So here's the question. How can we create something new in us? Whatever. And the question is not what. I guess the question is how. But maybe the question boils down to more about what it is you want to renew on how you renew things. So let's just explore that. How do we create something new in us?
I
What
think
if the go ahead, yeah.
my just because this is hot on my press, it's something that I've recently like picked up that I've been kind of running with, is this idea of striking the flint.
Okay.
And I love, because so many of the things that we've talked about and pursued over the years, I found out at a later point actually had a purpose. It wasn't just empty dialogue about something. There's actually a reason to do this. There's a purpose behind it. So this idea of striking the flint that was in this video that I shared with you, my new old friend, the rabbi there, since you have a rabbi, I wanted to have a rabbi too. And so he's talking about, but what he's talking about is the value of stress and discomfort in your life and how that will bring things out of you. You think you know what you're capable of, but you don't know your potential. And things like that wrench the potential out of you. They extract it from you. They make it jump out. And so I would say, because I'm a radical and I like radical things, strike the flint. Try to put yourself in a really uncomfortable, unfamiliar, difficult, stressful situation and see how you deal with it. I mean, hopefully without going postal or anything like that.
Well, that's not,
but what can that bring out of you? Like, if you, we all have a thing we think about. I have lots of things I think about. Sometimes I'll think about something and go,
sometimes
you ought to do that. I'll say to myself, and then I'll immediately go, I'm not doing that. I'm not even telling anybody I thought about doing that. And these aren't like illegal things.
Yeah, what's an example?
Well, examples of thing I did recently. Like, I've been doing this, my little fun time for Doug Saturday night karaoke deal that I do.
Nice.
On my YouTube, I do YouTube live stream, and I just goof off and have a couple of drinks and sing songs. Like, I pick a year and we go chronologically through it. So pick a year and we sing songs for a couple hours. And it's fun for me because I've been for years not singing at all. Like, since my last church job, I shunned all of it. Like, I don't even listen to music a lot. And I don't sing, and I don't play music. I've got instruments I don't pick up. I don't want to. The last thing I did to pick up a musical instrument was I finally beat myself into trying the banjo. So I did accomplish that.
And you did.
But as I'm doing this little thing here, and like there's a whole theological parallel in my own personal life that goes along with this. It's not just karaoke. There's this whole other thing going along with it. But as I get to this point, I come to this point, and it's like this thing crosses my mind, and it's like, you ought to go do this for real. Now, I'm me, and I go out with my friends and go out and sing karaoke. That's not a new thing. But this wasn't somebody calling me up and going, let's go sing karaoke. This was like, in my mind, this is God talking to me. And it's like, because this has all been predicated on getting an idea through my thick head and making me move on something. But the idea isn't to just go out and get hammered and sing karaoke. The idea is, can you go? Because the thing that God always does with me, or I feel God doing with me, is put me in one of these weird situations and let me sit there and look at it, and eventually I'll figure out how to aim the kingdom at it, or how to aim it at the kingdom. I'll figure out a way to work it. Like, I can make this work for the kingdom. So maybe you should go do this, like, live. And so I'm like, I don't know. It's weird to think about doing it that way. But so I like muscled up and did it. And like I said, when you're not with your friends and everybody's there, I mean, my wife was there and it was us, but we were in a completely strange place, didn't know anybody, had never been in the place before. And so I went and did it. And then I went back and did it the second week, and then the third week we went to do it again, and they stopped having karaoke on Sunday nights, so I don't have anywhere to go now. But it was such a weird, stressful, and it was uncomfortable and stressful, but it wasn't something that I'm unfamiliar with doing. So I didn't feel like, I don't know where I am or what I'm doing. I know how to stand up and sing. I've done it a few times. But to, like, at this age and after not doing it, and with what's going on in my head, to stand up and go do this and go look at this and go, okay, Now I'm going to do this and see if I can let God speak to my heart and tell me how this can work for the kingdom. And so all that happened, but this great other thing happened, which I got to share with Mark a couple weeks ago, was like I had this amazing experience I've never had before out of this thing, and I would never give that up. Like a real personal, like something that showed me that all the change I've been doing on the externals impacted something
Mm-hmm.
really deep. Like it hit something where, like right where I live, and like shifted the ground, kind of a thing. It was weird, one of the weirdest experiences I've had in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, that's it. That's the payoff for striking the flint. Like this moment of self-realization came that just hit me like a thunderbolt. And it was like, now my perspective about everything has shifted. That's exactly what I wanted. You can't change everything about yourself. The best thing you can change is your perspective. Perspective is the most important thing there is. I don't know if you've ever heard me say this. I may have said this once before. Man, I'm a big fan of perspective. Perspective is, if you have a magic power, it's the ability to shift your perspective. Scene.
I'm going to go on that note of perspective.
Boom.
I'm going to misquote if one of my favorite authors, Roger Von Oak, who writes this book, A Whack on the Side of the Head. I just happened to ironically have it sitting here at my desk. His whole book, he talks about being creative, and he says nothing is more dangerous than an idea when it's the only one you have. And I like what you just said, Doug, and I would add to that, nothing is more dangerous than perspective when it's the only one you
That's
have.
right.
And that's why I think we need like this, people, guys sitting together and going, yeah, because I need feedback on things that I think, or things that I think are a great idea and they're not.
See, I should probably get more feedback
and
and less just,
going
okay,
out,
well,
I
I'm going to
think
go do that.
To that, Doug. No. You created feedback when you struck that flint as you went to the karaoke place and had that interesting experience that you can go back, I don't know, 3 or 4 episodes probably and find that experience. I think that's your feedback, because look how it lit you up, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the that's the perspective you got from them. I think it's brilliant.
I don't know,
So
like
we
I
were
said,
talking, the question was, what can you do? What can you do to create something new? Zach, you were going to jump in with something.
Yeah. So I think before I go with what, part of me thinks we need to take a step back and think about who. And so what if we start with who do I want to become? So when I think about reinventing myself, or I have a mentor who talks about he's on his name 4.0. And so he goes through these like installations or updates, or, kind
Iterations.
of like iterations, iOS, like an iOS update, right?
Yeah.
So, I think if you take that to another level, or if you kind of take that thought process, you think about, okay, who do I need to become to then elevate myself from where I have been? Because I think if you take this position of how do we reinvent yourself, you almost take a longer term perspective that you're probably not going to stop reinventing yourself.
Yes.
And so whenever you put
And hold on, what's wrong with that?
Nothing. I think
it's exhausting.
I think it is exhausting. It could be, yeah. I mean, it could definitely be exhausting. There's nothing wrong with having to reinvent yourself. It could be, like you said, it could burn you out depending on how high achieving you are. It could be frustrating if you're not achieving whatever it is. But the way that I think about that is okay, so who do I need to become? Who am I now? So I need to determine where I'm at now. Who do I want to become? Maybe I want to become a karaoke singer that's out in the public, that's continuously going out and achieving that, right? So then it's like, okay, then you could look at, what does that mean? And then how do I actually do it? And so when I look at reinventing myself, I always start with like, okay, now that I'm here, who do I want to be next? Maybe that's across your personal life or your business life or whatever that looks like. How do you need to show up? Who do you need to become to the people in your life, to the situations in your life? And then how what does that look like, and how can you put steps into that to then upgrade yourself to Zach 2.0 or Zach 2.5 or whatever that looks like.
I can understand you're on Zach 2.0. We're like on Mark and Doug 13.9. I think we're way up
Part
there.
pi.
Part
Yeah,
pi.
I think I'm on 3.1.4.
I like that, and I think
Yeah.
I think you're right on as far as that you need to take that step, and I've heard people talk in that circle as well. I'm in my mind, and I think part of this conversation came when we were on the road was, I mean, it's not that you're not who you want to be. It's just like, and I go back to striking the flint. You know, the reason you're going to strike the flint is to start a fire. For whatever reason, you're going to burn something down, you're going to get warm, whatever. It's just like, okay, we got to find that spark, something in there that, you know, and maybe reinventing is probably too harsh of a term to use. I did the whole Etch a Sketch thing, so you want to shake it up. Again, it's not a complete erase of who
Right.
you are.
Remodeling.
It's I like to think, I like to, fluff my pillow in the middle of the night. And now, Doug, come on, because I need the extra support.
That's right. Well, and like you said, when you
I'd say
when
it
you-
was too late by the time it was about to come out of my mouth. I mean, Doug's going to give me a look for fluffing my pillow.
can't
Sorry.
fluff your pillow.
I can't.
When you
do it.
strike,
Just,
it's another
I
interesting.
definitely feel what you're saying. That's definitely my experience. It's like you change something, and then you're standing there going, "Okay, well, this looks pretty good from here. Well, I could go up a little bit higher." And you do that, like, okay, calculate what's this going to cost?
Yes.
What's it going to? You're going to have to do more to get more. You're going to have to put more out, and then it's like, yeah, and you kind of, I hate to use the word plateau because it tends to have kind of negative connotations, but it's like you plateau and you get up there and it's a little better view, and so love
Yeah.
it. Good, go. Sorry, didn't mean to block up.
all
Just
these,
wanted
all
to
these,
confirm,
this is
brother.
all,
Yes.
Oh no, I loved your perspective on striking the flint, because ultimately too, it's gonna hurt. Like something actually has to happen. Like what's the word
Yes.
there? What's the actual word there? Strike. So you
Yes.
actually have
yeah.
to cause something to happen.
Yep.
Well,
You know, it's gonna.
The
yeah.
idea is that what the flint represents is potential, and you don't know
Yes.
what potential you have.
I need
Right.
to send that link to you. And I thought I've got it pulled up, but I thought by the time I find that in the video, I could just play it here.
Oh, yeah.
We could link it later on, because I don't know if I could in time find it. But he talks about, the Jewish rabbi talks about the difference between a hot coal and a flint,
Mm.
and the flintstone, and the fact that the hot coal, you can pour water on it and it's done. And sometimes you can't even tell if it's, gray and ashy until you get close to it, if it's even warm or not. But no matter what you do to a flint rock, you break it, you submerge it into water, you grind it up, whatever it is that you do to it, you can never take the potential for it to strike
Boom.
out of it.
Yeah.
Big.
Anyway, it's
a great
updating Zach.
analogy
It was an
that he-
update.
that he
Oh, I
puts
love
together.
that.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is a
Nice.
beautiful thing. But I like the idea of, I put this on my list when I wrote this back in my list. It's been a long time since I pulled a journal out during one of our podcasts.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, or fluff
That's
your
good.
pillow.
This has got to be 2018 or so. I need to create something new in me. How can I do that? And here's the four things that I have on a list. Motorcycle ride and camp at the time when I had a motorcycle.
Mm.
And so my idea was just to pack everything on my motorcycle and take off. Now, I did that last September, but not on my motorcycle. I did it in my car, and it was great. It was brilliant. Get lost in a big city was another one, which I've done that unintentionally.
I'm thinking at least once, if not a couple of times.
Yes. Hike trip in Colorado, somewhere in the mountains.
Mhm.
And then the last one on here, I don't know why, but it probably has some merit. Buy a boat.
Buy a boat.
Yeah, well, and I think, of course, I'm against buying a boat now, because all my friends that I know that own boats are like, they're selling them because we don't ever have time to go to the lake anymore. I'm like, yeah, it's probably cheaper to rent one, so I'm against buying a boat. And,
Yeah.
unless
feel
I
that.
just have a bunch of cash that I was either going to light on fire or throw away, so I would just buy a boat with it instead. Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with this.
A boat is a hole in the water into which you pour money.
Yes.
That is great.
That's right.
T-shirt.
Fantastic. I love it. That should be another T-shirt. So
It actually
yeah,
is.
so those were some things that I put on my list of
Mm.
just like you're shaking it up, you're stirring the pot a little bit.
You're
You
putting
know,
yourself out there. You're
dropping
putting
a
yourself
Mentos in the
a
Diet Coke.
yeah. You're in
Ye-
a putting yourself in a situation that's unscripted to see what will happen. It's
That's
it's
right.
it's the
Exactly.
essence of everything adventure is.
Yes.
How much do you think the ability to cast a vision for yourself plays into this?
Maybe like 1,000%. Is that a number?
Mhm. But I'm curious, what if there's someone listening who doesn't know how to cast a vision for their future?
Well, that I feel like Zach deserves an entire podcast series on its own.
Luckily, we're here. Since we're
So,
already
I'll
mics
be
are
here
plugged
all
in.
week.
Since we're already here.
Mics are plugged in. My glass still has ice in it. Go.
Go.
So
Flip
this
the timer.
this conversation when we started back in the summer
Mhm.
came because we were talking and I shared a piece of information with Doug and I said I've heard that it's a good idea, and we do this now, but my father didn't do it, my grandfather didn't do it, where every 5 years or so they mixed up their career. We do that a lot now. My
Mhm.
father didn't, my grandfather didn't, because they stay at the same company for 40 years just
Mhm.
about. And so today we're switching it up. And so now the piece of information was it's good for you to switch your career up every 3 to 5 years. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that.
Mhm.
But then I got to talking, hey, it's good for us to every 3 to 5 years in our lives and then we mentioned the whole reading each other's obituary to each other or
Mhm.
writing it. So we, guys get together and we just say, hey, it's been a couple of years. Tell me what you'd say at my funeral about me. And you'd want to, based on that, you'd want to improve that or whatever. So I think that's the whole concept. Let's just shake it up. If you don't have a vision for your life,
It
yeah.
seems ridiculous, but if
Yeah.
our conversations of change have illustrated nothing else, it's that that was me for like a solid 48, 50 years.
Mm.
It just didn't occur to me.
Right.
My dad was one of our dads, and he had a wife and kids and a job to provide for them, and that was it. If he had that, he was doing what he was supposed to do. It never occurred to him to like vision cast or imaginate or anything, It's just like, get this done, go to bed, get up and do it again. Now, I have no idea how he managed to do that. That would kill me almost instantly. But, here we are, looking, and we've got the time to think, oh, okay, we can, well, it never occurred to me because nobody taught it to me. So I was just like, whatever happens, happens, and I'm here to, like, it never occurred to me. When it finally did, I was really glad, and things have been going really well so far. But there was a long period of time when it was just a vacancy.
What do you think happened in your mind to like allow that to be a thought? Because for 48 years or 50 years, you saw the example and you weren't able to like what was that thing that switched in your mind that kind of changed that?
From what to the not caring to the caring?
Yeah, I guess.
Wow. Probably mortality.
Mm.
Like the fear of death.
As you get older.
As much the two brothers like 6 months apart
yes.
thing.
Right.
And they're both like I'm older than one of them now and heading toward the age of the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Now that doesn't mean anything because most people in my family live real long lives. Like my dad had 20% of his heart work in the last 5 years he was alive, and they kept telling him any day now, any day now, any day now. 87.
Yeah.
And my mom's almost 80 and she's had a stroke, but we just went to the doctor today and everything's fine with you. Other than the remaining problem you have from the stroke, the likelihood of you having another stroke is almost zero because it's been so long. So it was just like concern. It started as a health thing because I was concerned about my health. I was concerned about the impact my health was going to have on my family as I got older, and my health was obviously in decline. And it's like, okay, how much problem is this going to be for everybody else?
I see. So it wasn't necessarily a fear of death. Was it a fear of like not accomplishing things or not leaving a legacy, or what was, or is it literally just like, hey, I'm afraid to die. I want to vision cast, or I want to change.
It wasn't, I guess it wasn't fear of death so much as, like I said, the fear of what it was going to do to my family. My journey to death. Death doesn't scare me. The journey from here to there is always a little trepidatious.
Yeah.
Can we say? So, and like I said, my health was in rapid decline. I mean, I was in a bad way.
Sure.
I was on a lot of prescription medications and like in a lot of bad health stuff, and kind of went, okay, if I continue this way, what have I got? 4,
Yeah.
5 years? And then how do you fall apart? And how long does that take? And what toll does it take on your family? And all that kind of fallout.
Awesome.
And the weight of that. And the weight of just all the emotional crap I was going through. And like being tired of it. We've talked endlessly on here. I guess that's what podcasts are, talking endlessly.
Endlessly talking.
About my negative internal voice and how it has hounded me my whole life. Just the constant criticism and just tearing down and destroying internally. That I don't have a positive internal monologue. It's very negative. It's very critical, very cynical. And I'm just sick of it. I don't want to hear it anymore. I've lost enough sleep over it. I've lost relationships over it. I've lost jobs over it. I've lost everything over it that I've ever lost. Has been because I'm the problem. And that's where that was kind of a moment where it was like, oh, wow. But it was, as we've talked about, it's always a process of change. You don't know what you're going to wind up changing. I thought
That's right.
I wanted to lose weight. And I wanted it very practically. I wouldn't want to look pretty. I didn't want smaller clothes. I wanted less prescription medication. Just to start there. If I could lower that,
And
then I would feel like I was accomplishing things.
to
Love
other
it.
things that change.
And then, you start seeing these other things that you can change, and like things that change you weren't even trying to. It's like, wow, look at that. That was easy. And it's all the momentum then. It's like, oh, well, I can do this. Oh, well, I am in control. Oh, wait, this means I'm in control of everything. Oh, ooh, okay, run away. I don't want that much responsibility. But you don't get out. I mean, that's Andy came down last week. We got to play that game with him because he was freaking out. He preached his first like official people watching him sermon this week.
Ooh.
And he was freaking out over it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you can't pull back now. Now you got to lean in. You can't get out of it now.
Because it was
Everything you're
probably
doing
well
is
received,
you're
right?
putting your heels in the gravel and the train is dragging you toward the cliff. Lean into it. Enjoy the ride. So he did, and he did a great job. He relaxed and did a great job.
Good. You know, I want to talk about the vision thing. I think if we're going to go back and get to the bare bones of change at all, it has to be a vision. But let's do that next week because we're done today. So everyone, hey, thanks for hanging out here with us tonight. We're so glad that you did. And check us out on Instagram. We're the Gentlementor, and we hope to see you again soon. Yes.